Hello, good evening. It is Wednesday, the 20th of December, and it's been quite an exciting day. Now, I know I go on about the VIX, and unless you actually trade it, hardly anybody pays any attention to it. But I was expecting a little bit of a pullback today in stock indexes after the VIX expiration last night, and boy, did we get it. I tell you why this is really interesting to me. So, I have a theory about, if we go beyond a fib level, you should back test it. And the favorite fib level for the S&P is this 786 fib. Here we are back testing it, and we're back testing the hourly 200 moving average. So this really should be support level. However, I think we're kind of going to go sideways into year end, and if we get a Santa rally, if we haven't already had it, but if we are going to get a Santa rally, it will come next week after Christmas. The pattern we need to watch out for here is, the pattern that you make when you overshoot a level that you shouldn't have is usually a head and shoulders pattern. So if we were to have a little bit of a rally here, I don't know, 61.8 back, we would come back and retest this neckline 786 fib level, 47.44, isn't it? I can't remember what the level is. 47. Let's go and have a look. 47.75 in the E-mini. Well, if we were to do that, first of all, it could be still a bullish ABC, and holding above the 786 fib is going to be absolutely key here. But if we break it down in a head and shoulders pattern, then we go twice this, and we could have a little bit of a bigger pullback over the holiday. But for now, I'm expecting a bounce, and 47.50 should be support. It was a really nasty shakeout day, and we've gone 90 points from the high to the low. That's a huge move. I don't want to underestimate it, and so many of these look like so crazy. The Dow Jones is exactly the same pattern, except the level that we're back testing is this previous high. Again, I want to see, are we just going to do a head and shoulders pattern? It doesn't quite look so compelling here in the Dow, but if we have a bounce and then do the same thing, I think that we could see a bigger pullback over the holidays. There are a lot of things going on in the world that aren't going very well. As I said this morning, the stuff in the Red Sea isn't going very well. Let's see how that goes. The shipping is all being diverted. That is what happened during COVID. It wrecked the supply chains. It was bad news for the economy. It caused inflation in supply chain problems, and that will keep rates higher for longer, which is not what the market wants. So let's move on to crypto, because we've had a pretty nice bounce today in Bitcoin. We're back to the top of the range. So the key question always when you see a rally like this is spot Bitcoin on the daily. We had some hidden bullish divergence that's playing out. Here we are back towards the highs. Whenever you see a pattern like that, the key question in your head is always got to be, is this a new upswing or is this correction? And if it's correction, it's going to have that choppy overlapping three-wave look, which I feel like this does. And if I measure from this low here, and when we looked at this, we had two targets yesterday, didn't we? The 61.8 at 42.50, and then we had 43.750. Now, we're a little bit sideways here at this equal measured move. And we could, Bitcoin loves to double top. So I would not rule out a retest of these kind of 44.500, 44.600. But I think we're going for another leg lower if we get back underneath this 42.500, 618 fib level. So that's when I think we're going to do a bigger ABC, and holding above 42.500 sees this continue to squeeze higher. Remember, we have got the that's our pullback line. We have got the SEC ETF decision due by the 10th of January. I think at this point it's unlikely we get it ahead of the holiday, but they might try and squeeze it out there. Apparently there's still lots of meetings going on about how it's all going to work, so it doesn't sound like they're quite ready. So that's how I'm looking at Bitcoin at the moment. And 42,509 for me is a little bit of a within this sideways range. That's my little pivot level in the middle, if you like. In terms of ETH, I'm not going to go on and about the, but we were looking at this potentially little bear flag consolidation under the weekly 200 moving average. This moved back to the highs in ETH. Today we have broken down from this sideways consolidation. Any way you draw it, if you draw it horizontally from that low, we have broken down. If you draw it like this with a little bit of a slope, either way we look at it, we have broken down. I'm going to use the horizontal level because I think that's more effective, because back above that horizontal level would tell us that we have got a false breakdown. Otherwise, that's what 0.05 is resistance, and we are looking for this to continue lower down to 0.046 in ETH. So ETH is not a top pick for me at the moment. That's why I am not so excited about that. Solana, the ETH killer, is still holding above this 236 fib level. It's looking really bullish. I'm going to put regular candles on. You can see a bit like Bitcoin, we're at these range highs. It is choppy and overlapping, but it's staying on and holding higher. I think Solana is a better trade, even though it's choppy and overlapping. On pullbacks, I think Solana remains a better buy than ETH. Only back underneath 68.94 would change my mind. That's where also the daily 20 moving averages. And you can see all the way up in this lovely rally in Solana. In October, the 20 moving average was support. It was on the 20th of November here, here, here. And so that's where we're wrong to be bullish and buying pullbacks in 68.94. That's where we're wrong in Solana, and we're still looking for 106 next on the upside. Now let's take a look at some popular ones. I'm going to look at SEI first. Now when I drew this and we looked at this, it looked super bullish, and we're using fib projection levels from this first low to this first high, projected from here. We did a textbook move, didn't we? Equal measure move, pull back to the 61.8, found support, made a really nice base, launched, we're above this level. We've paused at this 1272, but I really do think that this 1.618 could be next at 44.90, as long as we hold above 0.37. So 0.449, next upside target, as long as this isn't a false break above 0.3733. That's really simply how I'm looking at it. And when we look at it this way, you can see this was the previous highs. I'm now looking for this to be support and continue higher, and we're just going to go level to level to level. Now if I zoom out a little bit here, 0.44 and then 0.53, but really I think if we go beyond 0.449, it should be 0.668 on new highs. So no reason to sell. Unless this becomes a false breakout and a bigger pullback, no reason to sell SEI yet. Still a really nice uptrend and holding really well. And we would like to look at Tau again, so let's do that. Bit sensor. Now, this has had a really extreme move. I want to look at it here on the daily, because I want to see if it kind of looks like we may have completed 5 waves up. Because what I don't like, unlike SEI that we just looked at, is how today we lost the daily 20 moving average. Unfortunately, that usually means, unless we can get back above it, and you can see we opened and closed underneath it, that usually means back to the daily 50 and a bigger pullback and back to this swing low. Now, we could argue, if we look at this on a 4-hour, that we are at the moment holding support, and we are holding these previous lows and highs, and there is a pretty good level here. So it's just the daily that's warning that we're going to see that bigger pullback here. And I would say, honestly, below 300 and below this 4-hour 200 moving average, that's going to see this bigger pullback, and this first stop is going to be these swing lows. If we go back to the weekly and we take a look, that the other level I want to check out is from this most recent swing. Where's the 236 fib? We're underneath it. Now if I put the 236 fib from these lows, kind of also looks like we're underneath it as well. So for me, a daily, if you look at the daily here, see how we didn't close underneath it, didn't close, and now we are. Yeah, we need to watch out that we aren't going to continue lower. And if we look at this on an hourly, I would say I'm only going to be bullish again if we get back above this hourly 200 moving average. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a risky zone, and I think that we could see a bigger pullback here, 255 maybe, and maybe even 212 next in Tau. So at the moment, no major correction for SEI, but it looks like Tau might be setting up one. Okay, there's a few other charts that are quite interesting levels. One of them is Fetch, which hit target today. Here in Fetch, here's my weekly chart of Fetch. It's a little bit of a tricky level for me. It's a 61.8, and it's the equal measured move level all the way back from the lows that we had in November a year ago. So potentially we could turn this into a bigger pullback, and we could do that if we take these measured moves off. We could do that 61.8, 38.2 here, and very simply back test that 61.8 level before we go higher, couldn't we, in a wave 4? So we need to watch out here on lower time frames for a bearish reversal. At the moment, this is a swing failure double top pattern here in Fetch, so watch out that if we start flipping or losing these hourly moving averages, we are going to see a bigger pullback here. Big target, and yeah, we may be beginning a wave 4. Let's take a look at BONK and how we're doing in BONK, because BONK's quite fascinating how it's holding. If we go to the daily here and we look from the all-time lows to highs, we pull back to that exact 50% level and are holding it. This is a bit of a doji sideways candle. Sometimes we might go sideways here and make a little bit of a base while that daily moving average catches up. But we can see very clearly, if you don't want to miss, you know, one more push higher or an exit to get out, you can see that this 38.2 on a back test has been really strong resistance. We haven't been able to close above it, and we've tested it twice. It's at 216,968, so basically 217,000. I would put if you want an alert for when it's bouncing, I would put a little alert on that trend line, because you know if we bounce from a 50%, we should rally at least 50% of this drop. So 50% the other way, you know, puts us back up around kind of 260,000. So that's what I'm looking for in BONK. And then if we do 50% back and then keep going higher, we will see another leg higher at the moment. Now, closing underneath 170, closing underneath 175,800. I think we're going to come back to these lows and the daily, you know, this 200 moving average, and this potentially much bigger. I kind of will lose hope for a bigger bounce if we do that. And only if we recover this 50% would I rethink it, but I wouldn't be looking for new highs. So key support in BONK. Injective is another one, of course, that's been massive. And let's talk about where we are in Injective, because we had a big picture here on the weekly in Injective. We had two target levels. One it was at 42 and the other one was at 65 if we go beyond it. And here on the daily we reached our target today. So this is another one where we need to be really careful that it keeps going and it needs to hold above. And if we see a little double top here, I really urge you, or another little swing failure pattern or any kind of topping pattern like we did here, maybe pay yourself a little profit if you've been long and riding this one higher, because it is quite a big deal. Level 42, target hit. Okay, gonna look at some more exciting coins. I hope they're exciting coins. Let's take a look. Okay, GSWIFT. I didn't get it right yesterday, but let's try again today. go. GSWIFT. And let's look at it on binary. Okay, I'm going to look at wrapped ETH on Uniswap, and it's in a bit of a nasty downtrend. I think I have got the wrong one here. Hold on. Wait. GameSwift wrapped ETH. Here we go. I did have the wrong one. My apologies. Look at this extraordinary run that this coin has had. I'm going to go to the daily. So whenever you can see 5 waves up, like really obvious, and especially if they subdivide. So here we've got wave 1, nice 3-wave move here, and then we've got a big wave 3, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within it, and then another really clear corrective move. And then here for this final swing, we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this makes me always a little bit cautious, because if we do a bigger 3-wave correction having completed this, the most likely place we come back to is these previous lows here, which are around 1,700,000. So if I go from the low here to this high, get it in. It's kind of around this 61.8 level. So it may be that we've done the first swing higher, and we may from here watch out. I think that there's a good chance that we see another swing lower. Now if we measure them, let's go down to the 4-hour here. If we measure them, and this was our first swing lower, and I project it from here, this 38.2 could hold. It's at 2,575,000. But if it breaks and we head lower, the equal measured move level is at 2 million basically. So yeah, I think this is the first swing, and we're going to do another swing lower of correction. So bigger pullback in GSWIFT to come. Next one we're going to look at is NEXA. And if we look at this one on the weekly, has it pulled back to a level we would like to buy? I have to say, yeah, it kind of has. Back to this weekly 20 moving average, back to these swing highs is a really good area to be looking for a pullback. But when I move down to the daily, this was the lowest low. So this is our wave 1. So if we finished our big first wave 1, even if this is a wave 1 or an A of a correction, these fibs look good. Look, the 236 fib work, the 38.2 work, the 50% work, the 61.8 was messy. And I don't like how we couldn't get back above this pivot level in the middle, and how we are underneath this daily 50 here, because this unfortunately points to potentially this doing a bigger pullback here, unless we can get back above 106, 11,665. And the support really is at 7,126. So this, when you have a wave 1, it is kind of normal for it to find some support here in the middle somewhere. But wave 1s, let's face it, they can come all the way back and almost make a new low, and it still be a wave 1 but this, for me, unless we can close back above this daily 50, then I would say let's retest this 50% pivot level in the middle and these previous lows. But I'm afraid otherwise I think that this is still headed lower, and I would be looking for 7,126 next in NEXA. Let's look at next. Okay. What a lovely, lovely move this one has had. And I have to say that as long as we hold this daily 20 moving average, we're still going up. It's been a long time since we said hi to it and touched it, right when we broke out all the way down here. And there is possible, we've come a long way. It is possible that we are getting close to 5 waves done. and a bigger correction. And if we were to do a bigger correction here, it would be back to this swing low. But for now, holding this 236 fib, holding the daily 20 moving average, this is all good. Now, corrections, as you know, this is starting to look like the biggest correction we've had, and it would normally be 3 waves. And when I look at this on the 4 hour, it doesn't look like 3 waves to me. So that means that I think it's quite likely that we've done our first swing, we're going to do a second swing, and we might do this. So we need to watch out. At the moment, no reason to get out. Let's wait for this bounce and let's see how it goes. I think we'll see more upside. Short term, yeah, look. 0.223 might be a little bit of a trouble, this swing low. And here that's 50% back, and we could see another leg lower from there. So yes, we have definitely started a correction, but it's not a bearish reversal yet. Let's just see how this rally unfolds. We've got a bearish cross of our 4 hour moving averages, and that unfortunately does point to, what we might do is what we did here. We had a bearish cross, we got underneath, but all we did was retest the lows after a bounce and carry on higher again. And it would be very bullish if we did that here. So if we did a bounce, we bounced 61 and we retested these, that's bullish. We're just going to go sideways with the moving averages catch up. But underneath 0.2, we could see a little bit lower down to 0.169. So watch out for that in next. Next one we're going to look at is cyber. On Binance. Ta-da. Let's look at the weekly. Gosh, this one's hard looking, isn't it? So spiky. Crazy moves. Okay, I'm going to go look at this on the daily. Because quite often when a coin starts, it very often makes these funky 3-wave corrective moves. And I feel like this is what this coin is doing. It's kind of going sideways, trying to make a base, trying to get some attention and everyone to notice it. And then when it does, it will take off. And so this is one of those coins you kind of need to buy the dips in and get ready for that bigger move. Now, it's not really compelling. In terms of these moving averages, I really kind of don't see any trend here, and I don't see kind of any bullish reversal, and I kind of don't see any pattern that I really want to trade at the moment. I think this is really kind of one of those occasions where you want to buy the dip. I would say from this low that we made in October, this is a 3-wave equal measured move pattern, isn't it? So this is our first swing, here's our pullback 61.8. It's a bit messy, but that's what we're doing. So we've gone 3 waves up, and now we would expect 3 waves back before we go up again. So if we measure it going the other way from this high to low, from here, potentially 5.65 is support, and if we go lower, it would be if this breaks. So I don't really kind of see a compelling buy signal here yet. If I put my daily Heikin-Ashi on, I need to see this back above these daily moving averages to be holding this support and going up again. Otherwise, I kind of feel like if we lose 5.65, 4.59 is likely to be where the better support is. And if I try these fibs the other way, this is a 61.8 and here's down to an 886. So 5.66 key support. We're going to go down to 4.59 if it breaks. Otherwise, let's wait and see if we can get back above these daily moving averages and get a nice daily buy signal on that one. That's what we kind of really need. Okay, let's take a look at Aptos. Haven't looked at that one for a while. I'm going to zoom all the way out here. Let's look at this on the weekly. Now, I kind of like the look of this bottoming here. It kind of is a certain inverted head and shoulders pattern, and the neckline lines up with the weekly 50 moving averages. Kind of looks like it does, doesn't it? So we can see clearly here what would be our breakout, can't we? Haven't quite got it yet. This is a weekly chart, remember, and we're kind of consolidating sideways, but in terms of if we were to break out soon, this would be very balanced. If I put my fibs on from this high to low, let's see. This is also exactly the 236 fib. So yeah, very nice bottoming pattern. If we can hold above 8.4. Good eye for this one, Sandy. Well done. Now, and yeah, we should see some really nice moves. So above 8.4, we should see 10.69 and then 12.55. And then because, you know, potentially because this is a big, you know, 3, we could see a really nice big move. If this is our wave 1 and a correction, we could see a really strong move. No guarantee, but, you know, we're going to go level to level and see how we go. So 8.4, above it 8. I wouldn't short it here because I think it's building a really nice space. And above 8.4, I think it's a really nice long. So let's look at this on a lower time frame and see how it's working out here. Well, so far we can see it's not really, is it? So we may have to be patient. But that's what, a back above 8.4 will be on our way up again. And sometimes you do this, you know, false break higher. We're going sideways. Just need some people to notice this one, I think. I'll cover it on Monday and see how everyone likes it. Okay, next one we're going to look at is YUP. Just going to take a look. Some people have been talking about. Okay, three wave rally to the weekly 250 moving average potentially is a little bit bearish. Let's see if that's an equal measured move. But on the daily, potentially it's a little bit bullish because of this 200 moving average, and they don't quite line up. My worry here is that this was an equal measured move at 56.60. So getting stuck underneath 4,000 would be more bearish. Now, so far here on the 4-hour, we're holding this 4,000 pretty well, but yeah, it's time to be cautious in that one with those moving averages. Let's take a look at BONK. And we'll start with the weekly chart, and then this one, another one. Now, if you were to buy this one here when it got above these moving averages, look how it broke above this weekly moving averages here. Without any technical knowledge at all, your first target is always going to be this previous high here. We haven't quite tagged it, but it's very close. So yeah, we need to be a little bit careful in this one as well, that we don't double top, or we don't, you know, this is... Whenever you come back to a big spike level like this, you'll see people taking profit. 36.50, 0.365. If we go back out to the weekly in BONK, you know, because we're so far away from the high in this one, I'm just going to take this most recent swing lower in terms of fibs. And I'm going to say, you know, if we can get above this high and these highs, 0.458 and above 0.458, which is that first 236 fib, then we can talk about the big 236 fib, which is all the way up here at 2. So, yeah, it does look like it's making a pretty nice base. The problem with stuff like this is quite often you'll see profit taking here and you'll see a big pullback. And then you'll get your kind of bigger bottoming pattern. But if this can hold above 0.365, hold above it and hold above these highs, yeah, I think this potentially looks pretty good for more upside. Certainly in terms of these weekly moving averages, and certainly in terms of these daily moving averages. Okay, now, short term, how would I buy this if I was looking at this? Well, because we're right at the highs and this previous resistance level, and you know we've missed this 4-hour buy, which is down here, at this point it really kind of needs to break above and then you buy it. Okay, so I'm gonna be patient. Good luck, and watch out that we don't fail. Double top, swing failure pattern, slightly lower high and reverse, and then we end up doing a bigger 3-wave correction here in BONK. Okay, let me know if there's any other coins you'd like me to look at. And just be a little bit careful as we get closer to the holidays. Things could get a little bit more volatile. Certainly they're volatile in stock indexes.